Heather Patterson, May's, I always get the wrong month, so I'm glad I crushed that. May's Athlete of the Month, and we're going to do an interview, and we're going to start with my favorite first question, which is what brought you to Long Road, or like what was that first experience like?
Okay. What brought me to Long Road was my friend Misun. I was kind of complaining about my health at the time, and she offered it, and it took me a little while to bite. But then I finally was like, okay, fine, I'm going to bite the bullet. And I think my first class was a Thanksgiving. I think it was Thanksgiving Day. She kind of doesn't remember going on Thanksgiving Day, but I'm almost positive it was
might have
Thanksgiving
been,
morning.
yeah.
And I did a community class. And I remember doing wall balls, lunges, and then I think I blacked out after that. But I was just kind of like, yeah, this sucks.
In like the best way.
Yeah, in a good way. And then I got home and I'm like, all right, I survived. Like, I can do this again. But I don't really remember my second class. But she's the one that got me to come there.
Cool. Yeah, I do think that was Misun sitting over here, just for the record, moral support. But I do think that was on Thanksgiving. Because it's the gobble before you waddle, and it always has wall balls, because that's like throwing the turkey. Yeah. And then in December, you kind of like dipped your toe in, and I was like, hey, just try it, see if it fits in your schedule. And then January 1, you're like, where do I sign? I'm in.
Yep.
And ever since I've been in. And then February 1, wasn't that February that we did the body comp challenge? Won the body composition challenge.
Yes.
And now you're athlete. That's like a record-breaking year one. Good year one. Awesome. So, so November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. Not quite a year in. What keeps you coming back?
The people. I mean, absolutely the people, the support. It was very intimidating. Like, I've known that Long Road was there for a long time, but I was always too intimidated to come. So it took knowing somebody that, kind of pushed me to get in there. But then, like, once you're in there, like, when I first came in, like, my mindset was, like, I need to lose weight. I needed this, I needed that. And I was really intimidated by everybody. But then, like, instantly it kind of just switched. And it's like, everybody's so supportive. And that's what keeps bringing me back. Is like, at first I was like, I don't want to fail in front of everybody. But once you start failing in front of everybody kind of, nobody cares. Everybody's picking you up. Everybody's, moving you along. And that's what keeps me coming back.
So you were like, goal of losing weight when you came. Do you feel like that goal has changed?
Absolutely.
What do you think it is now?
Being functionable. Like, you guys focus so much on, like, being a functionable human being as you age, and, like, that's kind of where, I'm at now. Like, I want to still lose weight, but, like, I'm letting it happen. Like, I used to be one of those that, like, I could diet, and I do it real hard for 2-3 months, lose a chunk of weight, and then I'm, like, content. But, like, now I've kind of backed off, and I'm just focusing on fitness, and, like, it's just doing it on its own.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool to hear. Okay, so I've actually never asked this question before, but I do think it's a good one. So I was asking Heather, like, who is a coach that you enjoy having for class, and why do you enjoy them? And then I realized I was asking a mostly 5:30 p.m. person who almost always sees Allison and Jordan, who I would say are like very opposite ends of the spectrum. So who is a coach that you enjoy having, and what do you enjoy about them?
Okay, so my answer was both. I like you both for different reasons. I like Jordan because she's, really good at stepping in and correcting me in a very positive way, like when I'm doing something a little inaccurately, which is a lot of the time because I'm still learning the movements. And then I also like Allison because she kind of gives you that gruffness of, if I'm failing at something, or I use my own words of, I can't do this, she'll just turn around and walk away from me. And then I'm like, she just gave up on me. And then, it pushes me to want to do more. So, I'm pushing myself sometimes with Allison to want to get her, I guess, appraisal, like, getting that praise from her of that I've done something right. But I like that because it pushes me, it motivates me when she just kind of looks at me like, yeah, you're being a wimp.
Yeah.
And then she just turns around and moves on. She's like, I know you can do it, but you're not doing it, and that's on you.
So when you're ready to do it all, come back.
Pretty much. So I like them both for different reasons.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, they couldn't be like two more opposite end of the spectrum coaches. It would be, I don't know that we have like that example within the male coaches, but the female coaches have like a very wide spectrum of like how we behave. The dudes are all pretty like serious. I don't know, Lance and Nate are pretty fun and jokey, but like if you've ever had Jake in class, He's like definitely a state trooper. And he's a great coach, but he's like very to the point. And he'll come ask you about your kids and everything, like very personable, but definitely to the point. And I'm like, I think having all of those personalities is important because like there's some days where you probably walk in and you're like, Jordan's the coach, and you're like, oh, good, I need some Jordan words of encouragement.
Right. Unless it's a day that then you step in, like when we were doing the squats.
Oh yeah, sometimes I can't help myself.
Yeah. Jordan's the coach, and I'm sitting here, I'm squatting against the wall, and next thing you know, I feel a knee in my butt, a hand on my shoulder pulls me back, and I'm like, and she's
You're
like,
in a great position.
Yeah.
Keep going down.
and I go, I can't. And she didn't help. She just moved her foot or her knee from my butt, and just like I had to figure out how to get up.
Yeah, it's fine. Fall back. You just sit down a little bit.
Yes. Yes. That was
That's
fun.
funny. That's awesome. Okay, so one last question. This is a fun one. What is your favorite movement or workout that you've experienced so far?
Okay. I like the weights. I hate running. I'll just put that out there. Hate running.
You're definitely a CrossFitter already.
Yes.
Then.
But I really like to deadlift, do bench press stuff, and I really like the handstands. I'm going to get myself a handstand push-up eventually, but I do. I feel very empowered because that's one of those things one of the first things that I did, I think, was handstands. I think might have been a Jordan class. 2 things in a Jordan class. She made me do a cartwheel too. Like, I feel like it was like my 3rd class, and it was in the warm-ups. And I remember thinking, this lady's crazy.
This ain't it.
Like, this is not I am not doing a cartwheel. And she made me do a cartwheel, and I did it. Doesn't look as pretty as it did back in the day, but I did it. But we did handstands that day too, and I enjoy the handstands for some reason.
A handstand, that makes sense because you like bench press, deadlift. Those are more like strict powerlifting movements. And really, a handstand push-up is a strict press. It's just
true.
with your own body and, upside down, which is uncomfortable, which is fine. But yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay, so... Oh, wait, I got to pause it. Okay, so I always find this interesting with... just hanging out the... Don't worry, a van just went by. Someone was hanging out. It's the 4th of July. Happy 1776. Okay, so prior to CrossFit, especially as a female, did you ever touch a barbell, do a bunch of barbell movements? Like, what was your experience with the barbell prior to coming into CrossFit?
In high school, I had touched barbells, like with sports and whatnot. And then I had dabbled in some barbell stuff in a few of the places that I'd worked out prior to, but nothing like here. We did a lot of dumbbell work, but every once in a while we would get a barbell. But this has been my most experience with barbell.
Okay. I always like to ask that because I had literally maybe touched a barbell.
Mm-hmm.
And it is my favorite thing because like you said, it's empowering. It makes me feel strong. And because it was something that I felt like I couldn't do, that I'm like, I can totally do, so that's very cool. All right. Awesome. That wraps it up with Heather. Next month, we will be interviewing Steve Wilhelm. I can't wait. He's going to actually probably go over to the neighbor's house, and I'll just meet him there. He just had his son graduate from high school, so he is living his best summer life right now. I'm going to have to catch him before fair, though, because he'll be busy. So, awesome. Guys, have a great month. In July, we have a couple of things coming up. We have the euchre tournament. That information is going to go out soon. The people who did the first euchre tournament, they have first dibs on those seats, but it'll be 24 seats, just like we did last time. And it was a ton of fun. So if you missed out and a seat's open, I definitely recommend taking it because that was a really fun night. And then outside of that, in July, nothing really else going on, okay? The next kids session doesn't start until mid-August, so enjoy the rest of your summer. Stay hydrated, stay fit. See you in the morning.